Welcome back to Adventure Freaks. I'm Ray, and today we have a special video for anyone thinking about living or retiring in the beautiful country of France. We're joined today by Eleanor Tavares de Pino, an immigration lawyer based in France who works for Lexity Law. Here at Adventure Freaks, we highly recommend Lexity Law. They're a terrific group of people. They cover a variety of countries in Europe as well as Mexico. Today we're going to focus on France. They all speak English and they are incredibly warm and helpful. It doesn't feel like your typical law firm. They're a great group of people, and that's why we support them and recommend them. In this video, we'll cover everything from navigating residency requirements, determining which visa you'll need, obtaining your French driver's license, and other essential immigration services offered by Lexity. So if you're considering moving to France and you have some questions, just scan the QR code on the screen and you can schedule a free consultation with Eleanor and her team at Lexity Law. They'll be glad to assist. Now let's jump into the podcast. Okay, so today we are heading over to the beautiful country of France with my friend Eleanor Tavares de Pino. Eleanor, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thank you, Remy.
So,
It's an honor to be here.
so Eleanor, you're with Lexity Law Boutique. You're a lawyer in France. You're an immigration lawyer, and you help people that are interested in moving to France and retiring. And you guys offer a variety of services, which is what I love. And everybody that I've worked with in Lexity, they all speak English. So that's why we promote you guys heavily. So give a little backstory about you, Eleanor, who you are, and tell us a little bit about Lexity, and then we'll go from there.
Of course, thank you. So let's start with Lexity. So we are a law firm with different offices through Europe. We started a few years ago in Barcelona, and then little by little we expanded in the different jurisdictions within Europe. And we are an English-speaking law firm, and we focus mainly on immigration and relocation services. So we offer all the type of services that you need when you wish to move from one country to another in terms of visa application, corporate tax, which is a very important matter when you are traveling abroad. And yes, all this aspect to make sure that the move is smooth and you don't go to many different interlocutors, but you have everything handled by the same English-speaking law firm. So this is Lexity. And regarding myself, so I'm half Belgian, half Portuguese. I was born in Senegal. I grew up in Italy, and I ended up a little bit by surprise like this in France, where I did a master's degree and finished university, and I passed the bar exam, so I became a lawyer here. And for me, it was natural to focus and go towards immigration law because it really relates to what I've been living, what I've been through, and I can perfectly understand the journey of our clients, what their struggle is, and when they need to be reassured. So I try to make the best out of this experience and try to handle a smooth moving process for each and all of our customers.
All right, fantastic. So, Eleanor, so you do you speak Portuguese?
Well, I don't speak as much as I wish, but I understand everything. I can handle a basic conversation with my family.
Okay, and you speak Italian?
Italian, yes, I started university there.
Okay, wow. Okay, that's so impressive. All right, well, great. So for our viewers, many of them are retirees and many are digital nomads. Let's start off with what France offers as a retirement visa. What's it called? And what do you need to do to qualify to live and retire in France?
Yes, sure. So we do have a lot of retirees that wish to move to France for the climate, the way of life here. So we have a very good visa that is that meets all the requirements usually for the retiree people. and it's called the visitor visa. Don't be confused by the name because even though it's called visitor, it's absolutely not a tourist or a short stay visa. It's a 1 year renewable visa. It's like having a residency permit in France. And the conditions to be met are quite easy. You need to have enough savings to support yourself in France, a medical coverage that is valid for France and the European Union, and not be working in France. So this is very interesting for retirees because, of course, of the work question regarding the insurance, usually we can find very good rates with the brokers that we work with. And yes, regarding the savings, this is an important topic as well. So what you need to provide is that you have at least the French minimum wage, which changes all the years, but today it's more or less between 17 and 18,000 euros for a whole year. So you can show either that you have installments or that you have all the money blocked in a savings account or any type of proof that you may have, we can work with it.
Okay, so as long as they have a minimum of 18,000 euros in an account, they can qualify. If they don't have 18,000 euros and they have a pension where it's showing that it equals 18,000 at the end of the year and every month they're getting paid that pension, they'll qualify as well.
Yes, you got it. That's it. Hmm.
Okay, great. So that's really affordable. So Eleanor, after the first year is up, then what would they have to do? Would they need to reapply again? And do they need to show the same amount of income or does it increase?
Hmm. So before your visa is up, it's very important to do it before. Of course, I can help you if you do it afterwards, but I'd rather avoid this situation. Usually what we recommend, it's around 4 to 3 months before the expiration dates of the visa, we start the renewal process. And this is done directly in France. So no need to go back to the US or your country of origin to reapply. We do it from France at the local prefecture, which is the immigration administration. And we need to show that you continue to meet the requirements of the long stay visitor visa, meaning no work in France, medical coverage that is valid for France, and the savings. So it's still the same amount, it's still the same requisites. But just one thing that I wanted to mention. After your arrival in France, after 3 months of living here, you can apply to register in the French social security system, and we would be happy to help for this process as well. These are all things that we can handle: the renewal, the social security registration, which is one of the best in the world, the French one, and it's very
Hmm.
interesting. Our customers often ask us for this service, and once you are registered, you can as well renew the visa without needing a private health insurance.
Okay, so a couple questions. So, okay, you're going to start about 3 to 4 months prior to that first year of expiring to renew the visa. Do you have to do that every year?
For 5 years, yes, it's necessary to renew it on a yearly basis for 5 years. And after this period, we can apply for a 10-year residency card, which is called carte de résident. And it's the maximum you can get in France, and you renew it then every 10 years.
Okay, great info. All right, and then you mentioned that you need to have medical insurance. Is that prior to coming, or can you work with you folks to obtain medical insurance in France?
We can help, of course, but for the visa application, it's necessary to show that you have medical coverage valid for 1 year. And it needs to meet the criteria of the Schengen entrance, but we definitely help for this step as well.
Okay, and Eleanor, do you have any idea what a retiree would pay per month for that type of insurance?
It's difficult to say because we work with the brokers and we don't handle this part usually.
Okay, all right, great. And then you mentioned that there's a benefit that you can join the French Social Security system after
Mhm.
how long?
3 months of
After,
stay in France.
okay,
Mhm.
so what is the benefit of the French Social Security system for a retiree?
Well, it's much less expensive than the private health insurance or the one that you can have abroad. And then if you want to have I'm speaking about the basic coverage, which is very interesting financially. And then, of course, if you want to have a better coverage, you can always apply for supportive programs that take charge of the money that exceeds the social security refunds. Mm.
Okay, so so the French Social Security system, once you enter that, then you're pretty much getting you're in the system to receive the public health care.
Exactly.
And it's much less expensive than the
Then
private
a private,
healthcare options. Is it
definitely.
as good? Is the quality as good?
Well, the quality is good. I'm living in France since a long time now, and I've heard no, yeah, the quality is good. Especially, well, our American customers are always amazed about the cost because in the US, I don't want to know how much it is, but they always seem to say that it's crazy and that in France there is a huge difference that they can feel.
Yeah, okay, that's great to
Mm.
know. Yeah, there are many people do leave the US because of the astronomical costs of healthcare and medical care. So that's really good to know. Okay. So is there anything else that we need to know about the retirement visa called the visitor visa? Is there anything else or
I think it's pretty much it, but
okay.
just around the subject, if you want to be well prepared to come to France, maybe you want to explore as well the exchange of a driving license. This is as well something we can help with. It's important to know it. Why? Because you have 1 year from the moment you enter France to apply for the driving license exchange. So it's important not to miss the deadline because I've had a few people calling me and it was too late and they had to take all the tests in France and usually it's in French as well. So it's maybe not a situation where you want to find yourself in. So yeah,
So you can actually get a driver's license in France with prior to coming?
not prior, but during the first year of your arrival in France, it's important to do all the paperwork within that frame.
Okay, and would do people need to take the test in French as well that move
No,
there?
if you do all the requirements, if you do them on time during the first year of your arrival in France, you don't need to do a test or anything. But if you miss the deadline and you call me after 2 years of being here, then it will be different.
Okay, so okay, that's really great information because that's one of the challenges I hear a lot in Italy with
Oh yeah.
retirees and expats where they have to know the Italian language to
Hmm.
pass the exam. And there
Yeah, this is
isn't
crazy.
Yeah, and
Mm.
there isn't a way to get around that like there is obviously in France. So the first year, reach out to you to obtain a driver's license if you want to drive in France.
Yeah,
And you can
exactly,
bypass
exactly.
having to take that test in French.
That's it. That's it.
Wow, that's really great info. All right, so let's move into what can you share with us about the digital nomads that want to come live in France and work for a while or live for a while? What are the requirements for that visa?
Hmm. So in this case, we have two different profiles. We have people that work remotely for a foreign-based company and that can apply for the long stay visitor visa. Why? Because they do not have links with the French labor law market. No French contract, no French company, no French clients. As long as you do not have links with the French labor law market, you could qualify for the visitor visa. Of course, every situation is different. So in any case, I would advise booking a meeting with one of our team just to check that you indeed qualify, even if you are working remotely, because in some situations you have to register as a worker, etc., etc. I'm not going too much into the details, but this
Yeah.
is the first option. And apart from that, we have another possibility for freelancers. They can register themselves as freelancers here in France, and we have what we call the Entrepreneur Profession Libérale visa, which is basically a freelancer's visa. And well, the thing to keep in mind for this one is that you need to provide a business plan. explaining what activity do you do, what kind of clients you will have in France, how much you think you will invoice in France once you come here. It does not need to be accurate. It's just a project. I can help. We have templates and we can definitely help you to draft a good business plan. Once we have this, we submit it to a French administration that gives an opinion on the project. And once we have the opinion, then we can apply for the visa application. You do not need to have already an existing business or already be a freelancer in your home country. It's not necessary since it's only a project. And this visa is interesting for a lot of different profiles. We have teachers, photographers, consultants, even lawyers, a lot of different type, and it works pretty well. Also, you do not need to invest in the company, or you do not need to show that you have a certain amount of money prior to applying. So yes, that's definitely one of the options I would propose.
Okay, so the in that freelancer visa is called what again?
Entrepreneur,
Entrepreneur.
profession
Okay.
libérale. Yeah, entrepreneur is easy.
Okay, entrepreneur visa
Exactly.
is like the freelancer. Okay, and there's no minimum income requirement that they have to show that they make per month.
It's not written anywhere, but we of course prefer if the person can show that they have a little bit of funds, because otherwise it will be difficult to have the visa. Mhm.
Okay. All right, great. What do you suggest they have as far as when they have to show the funds? How much would you recommend they have?
It's difficult to say because it's not written anywhere. So it's a little, if you can show that you have a little bit of saving, it's good. The
Okay.
ideal scenario would be the same amount as the one for the visitor, so the French minimum wage. But really,
Okay.
if you have less than that, it can work as well.
Hmm.
And just one last thing, the income for this entrepreneur visa will be checked after 1 year. So for when we will renew the visa, the administration will check if you were able to generate in France the French minimum wage.
I see. Okay, and then the long stay visitor visa is is the other one that you mentioned as well. Is there a minimum income requirement for that one?
It's the French minimum wage, so it's around
18.
18,000 euros for a year, but it can
Okay.
be monthly installments as well.
Okay, so they have to show that, and that's good for 1 year?
Yes, and you can renew it on a yearly basis. After 5 years, you can get a 10-year card.
Okay. Do you find, Eleanor, that there are some digital nomads that just want to come to France? Let's say, I'm going to go to France for the summer. It's awesome. I'm going to stay close to Nice and get on a tourist visa, and I can stay for a full 90 days and then leave. Are you finding that that is happening much or?
We do have people that come just with their passport because they have a nationality that allows them to stay in the EU for 90 days, and then they wish to stay and they ask, "Can I apply for from France?"
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it's not possible. So if you really know that you want to spend time here or get some flexibility and check if you want to stay longer or not, I would really advise to apply before leaving the country.
Okay, good information. Okay. And are there any other visas that would pertain to retirees or digital nomads? Does France still do like a golden visa? I mean, it's most of my demographic isn't golden visa people, but do they still offer that there?
We do not have a golden visa. It's not necessary to buy a house or invest in a property to get a visa for France.
Hmm.
As I mentioned, the visitor visa is a very good product. It's a very good visa that attracts a lot of people because the conditions are not that difficult to meet.
Yes.
So we don't really need people to invest or even to find a booking, because you can perfectly apply for the visitor with just an Airbnb or a hotel booking for the first weeks of your stay,
Hmm.
and then of course find somewhere more permanent to stay in France. But it gives a lot of flexibility, and for now, France has this possibility that is very attractive.
Okay, yeah, it sounds like it. So, and is there for the retirees that want to learn about what their pensions would be taxed, who would they talk to?
If they need to talk to Sandhya. It's my colleague who is our tax and corporate attorney. She's specialized in French tax law. She works in my team at Lexity. And we are, yes, mainly dealing also with American citizens or English people, British people, Australian people that work or live abroad and wish to settle in France. It's very important to know if you are going to pay taxes in France and how much. In any case, from my little knowledge about French tax law, there is an agreement between the US and France. So this is something a little bit technical, and it's different to declare the taxes in France or to pay them. What is sure is that after 6 months, everyone needs to declare the taxes, but not necessarily having to pay anything. But this needs to
Mhm.
be checked with my colleague.
Yes, yeah, there's a dual taxation treaty between
Hmm.
the US and France. So,
Exactly.
but I do, yeah, you're right. You still have to file, but that's okay. Great information, and then you guys provide that information as well for any
Yes.
retiree that
Hmm.
needs that info. Okay, and then a lot of people always ask me about buying property in France. Who do they go to? Do you guys are involved in property?
What
Um, yeah, go ahead.
Well, we do have real estate department at Lexity, and we can help you review the contract and the paperwork. And in France, the main actor of the real estate and property purchase process is the notary. And of course, we work closely with the notaries when it comes to purchasing a house here.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have, Eleanor. Is there anything else you can think of that would be beneficial for the viewers and interested in moving to or retiring in France?
Well, making sure that you prepare your visa application well in advance because we are very administrative in France. We have a lot of forms, a lot of things that you need to be aware of. So it's important to make sure that you don't do any mistakes on the paperwork. This is very important. That you renew your residency permit well in advance. That you apply for the 10-year card after 5 years of residency. It's important to file your taxes. I know that a lot of people arrive with the visitor visa and they renew it and they never go to the tax authority. And this is not something that they should do. So I repeat that it's very important to get a tax consultation. Don't forget that you have the right to register in the French Social Security after a few months of residency in France. And don't forget about the driving license if you don't want to take French driving lessons.
That's great. That's great information. Well, Eleanor Tavares de Pino from Lexity Law, thank you so much for sharing all this info. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me for this podcast and continue the good work.
Thank you, Eleanor, and you take care. Have a great rest of the day.